Hey everybody, today I'm making apple pie and we're making one for now and one for later. Hey everybody, welcome to our bubble. If you're new here, my name is Katie. If you're returning, super thank you and welcome. My local grocery store had a great deal on these good sized bag of apples. They were only $5. So in the fall, apples are cheaper because they're in season, but once I got them home, I realized they're not the best quality. They taste really good, but they are a little bruisey. So we're going to make a couple pies with them. First thing we need to do is to start our crust, because it is important that your crust stays cool to be able to handle it well. If you all watched one of my past videos, I made hand pies and it was 80 degrees. I didn't have the air conditioner going because I figured it would be too loud, and my crusts aren't the prettiest, but we're going to do better today. Well, the first thing we need is a big bowl. We're also going to need flour, a pinch of salt, and our cold butter, of course. So we do need an entire stick of butter, and we're going to cut it up into chunks. So I am going to go on and pour my flour into my bowl. We need a cup. Level it off. And a third. We need a cup and a third of flour. And then we're going to cut our stick of butter cold right out of the refrigerator. We don't want our butter to sit out and get room temperature or soften in any way. We want to keep it nice and cold. So I'm cutting it in half, and then I'm cutting it in half again. Ugh. And then we're going to cut it into chunks and throw it right in our flour. Now we're going to add our pinch of salt, just a pinch. This is just to increase our flavor. And then we're going to use, this is a pastry blender. If you do not have a pastry blender, a fork works just as well. You just may be putting a little more effort into it. And then here, I'm going to give you a close look. If you don't have a pastry blender, see how big these edges are? And you know, that's pretty thick. That's not like a knife or anything. Don't be fooled. I have been cut by the pastry blender, and you'll see why. We're going to use a knife to get the excess off. Don't use your finger. I split my finger right open one day on one of these. So what we're going to do is we're going to break up our butter into our flour. So we want to try and incorporate our butter while kind of chopping it up in the flour at the same time. Remember, don't use your finger, use the knife. And we're going to clear out our pastry blender every now and then, so that all that butter gets cut up some more as well. Now, we're going to take ice cold water. Oh, wait. It's not Christmas. We're going to take ice cold water, and we're going to add 4 tablespoons. We don't want to get the actual ice cubes in there, though. And then we're going to mix it some more with our pastry blender. Or fork. Fork is fine. So now that that's done, we're going to try and mush and see if we can form it into a ball. Our crust here. We still have a lot of loose flour. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to add a tablespoon at a time. So we're just going to add one, and we're going to mush again, and then see where we are from there to decide if we need to add more water. So that's pretty well incorporated, but we are going to add another tablespoon of water, and this is why. It's real flaky. We still have some loose flour at the bottom. Now, the reason we want to add a tablespoon at a time is because it is easier to add ingredients than take them away. So, and by kneading this by hand, it is melting some of the butter just with the warmth in your hand. But we're still a little more separated than I would like. We're going to add a half a tablespoon at this point. Now, our dough looks pretty good. Now that our dough is finished, we're going to wrap it in a piece of plastic wrap, or you can put it in just a plastic or glass container, but it does need to stay in the refrigerator about an hour. We need it to cool down all the way again. So this is crust number 1. We are making 2 apple pies, so we need 4 of these. So once all 4 of our crusts are made and put in the refrigerator, then it's time to mess with our apples. And the first thing we want to do is give them a nice hot wash. So now that all of our apples are nice and clean, we're going to peel them. So I do have a apple core peeler machine. This does make life easier. You don't have to use one of these. Okay, so I needed to rethink my approach here a little bit. It's funny how from year to year you don't remember the mistakes you made or what you did, but I've got a towel down just from cutting up 2 apples. The juice was dripping onto my feet. So let's try this again. Now that that's all finished, our apples are starting to turn a little brown already. I'm not for sure if you guys can see it or not, but so what we want to do is we want to take about 2 ounces of water, which is about a shot, and we're going to squirt a little bit of lemon in it, stir it around, and we're going to add it to our apples. And what that does is while we're messing with our dough and stuff real quick, that helps keep our apples from browning so badly. We're also going to have to put all these in another bowl. This bowl's not big enough. So now we're going to add all of our other ingredients to our apples. We're going to need 1.5 cups of sugar, a half a cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of nutmeg, and our pinch of salt. And we're going to get all this all stirred up, and then we're going to let it sit, and it'll get all juicy. So while our apples sit, we'll be working on our crust. So now that all of our ingredients have been put into our apples, look, it already looks juicier, and so we want that to sit while we're getting our crust ready. The first thing we need to do as far as getting our crust ready is we need to take a stick of butter and we need to run it on the inside of both of our pie dishes. Don't forget that top lip as well. Now, my to-go pie is actually for a Thanksgiving coming this Saturday. It's family I don't necessarily see a whole lot, but my cousin has a big Thanksgiving for anyone who wants to come. So that's what this pie is going for. Now we got that done. We'll get our crust out. What we're going to do is we're going to get one crust out, because don't forget, it's important that your crust stays cold. So for the bottom of our pie, we're going to go on and get one out, and then when we're ready to do the top, we'll pull the second one out. We're all nice and cold. First thing we want to do is to flour our surface, which has been cleaned, by the way. Especially after all that mess with all the apples, we definitely had to clean things. That could have been a sticky situation. Now we want to roll out our crust to fit over our pie plate. We do want to do this fairly quickly. We don't want our crust to warm up. Now, we do want to try and keep the thickness of our crust about the same. We want to keep it all about uniform. And don't worry about ugly edges. They don't matter right now. Now, all we want to do is just fold it into our pie plate. You want to push it down in there, being careful not to use any fingernails if you have them. I'm pretty good right now. Don't have a lot of nails going on. Now that that's done, we're going to go on and fill it with apple. I want to use about half of my mixture here. So there's pie number one. Now this crust isn't rolling out as pretty, so this gives us a moment for a lesson. I actually have a piece that kind of peeled off, which isn't a huge deal, but because I'm going to break this in half, and then I'm actually going to put it on spots that I would like a little more crust. Just be easy when rolling it at first. It may try to peel off on you. You just kind of put it back down. You can even use a little bit of water to help keep it into place. Okay, that's plenty big enough. This pie pan's not that big. This is a smaller pie pan, so we are going to clean up our edges a little bit. Uh-oh. Watch for seeds. There was a seed. Now, this is my one going to the Thanksgiving outing next Saturday. So it would be nice if this one was really high and good looking piece of apple pie. So now we're going to make our tops. So now to make our basket weave top, I do have a cutter that makes the lines wavy. And then I also have, these are presses, and it makes a little leaf shape. So you can cut these out at whatever thickness you like. If you like them thicker, fine. If you like them thinner, fine. It is all your choice, of course. Main thing with apple pies, you can even cover it with this hole, but you do have to cut ventilation. Because of the apples cooking, they steam, and that needs to be able to get out. Well, okay, so that's probably enough. So now what we're going to do is we are going to start in the middle, which these are nice long pieces. So I'm actually just going to tear that off. So now we want to basket weave You can pull these if you need to. That helps a little bit. Now for our decorative ones. I'm going to smash it down like a cookie cutter, and then we're just going to hit it. Don't want to smash it. We don't want the pattern to go all the way through it. Then it makes a little leaf. Now that one's a little better. Oh, oh. And we have another leaf. Looks like a maple leaf. Maple leaf. And we want to pinch our edges. We want to kind of roll and smash. Looks pretty good so far. Now we're going to try and make it a little pretty. A little prettier, I guess. So I don't have any fingernails really. This works really well. Just 2 fingers, tuck in between the 2 fingers. If you have fingernails, use knuckles. Look, it looks great. So now we're going to get our other one done. Now, we clean up our mess for a second. So while I cleaned up real quick, I did put our pies back in the refrigerator because remember, it's important to keep our crust cool. And what we're going to do now is we're going to paint the top with an egg and sugar mixture. So we're going to take a whole egg and we're going to beat it up. I am just using a fork for this. And we're going to put in about a tablespoon of sugar. And then we're going to paint the top. What this does is this helps, our little leaf popped off. This helps our browning process. That's how you get that goldeny, shiny brown on top of your pie as it cooks. It's egg. Our oven has finished heating up, but I did want to put a cookie sheet in there in case my pies overflow a little bit. But we're going to go on and put this in. Now that our egg mixture is on a pie like this pie does have to cook 40 to 50 minutes. So your outer edges of crust, that's too much direct heat exposure. So we are going to cover the outside. Now I do have, this is made to cover your top, just like that. These work okay. I would much rather use aluminum foil, tin foil, depending on where you're from. And what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of, well, not do that. All right, we're going to cut off small strips, kind of like this. And then we're just going to gently wrap our edge. I just think the aluminum foil helps you get a better seal. And with the aluminum cover, I've still had a hard time with the edges burning on me. Now see, just like that. Now we got one more pie to do. Now our oven is ready to go, but just before we throw the pie in, we're going to put a little extra dollops of butter on top because butter's good. Actually going to kind of just put pieces here and there in our little open holes. Not a whole lot. It's about a half a tablespoon. And like I said, I'm breaking it up and just kind of putting it in our little open spots. So now that our pies are ready to go, we're going to pop them in the oven. We're going to leave them in around 40 minutes because these are 9-inch pies. If they were 10-inch pies, we would cook them about 50 minutes. But the last 15 minutes of cooking, we're going to take off our aluminum foil on the edge so that our outer crust can brown just like the inside. All right, our timer just went off. Woo! So now we are going to carefully remove our foil. Oh, look at that. That is gorgeous. Okay, hold on. Okay. Look, they look so nice. This one's looking pretty juicy. I'm going to scoot it over a little bit. So hopefully if it overflows, it will overflow onto our cookie sheet. But they got about 10 more minutes. There. Okay, our 10 minutes is up and our pies should be ready. Ooh. Don't they look lovely? Now, we are going to pull these out, but we're going to let them, hopefully not drip everywhere. We're going to let these sit on top of the stove for about an hour. This is why we put a cookie sheet under it. That all dripped out of our pie. So better to burn onto the cookie sheet so it can be washed off later. But our pies look great. Now, they do need to sit for around an hour to cool down a little bit. And that way all these juices will thicken and help hold your pie together when you cut it. Now that both of our pies have been cooling about an hour, the one that we're taking to our Thanksgiving next Saturday, I'm going to cover it with some aluminum foil, and it's actually going to go in the freezer. And I'm going to pull it out and put it in the refrigerator Friday night. So now this pie is ready to go in the freezer until we need it. But in the meantime, we're going to try our pie. Ooh, the crust is nice and crispy. Our pie is still a little warm. Oh, that looks great. Got good height. Looks good. It's delicious. So thanks you guys for hanging out with me today, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.